Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Sowers. I am the Director of Technology. What's my title? For DoSpace in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm currently coming to you from my home in Lincoln. And this is the first of what I believe will be a small series of webinars I'll be doing called Google Search Secrets. I am currently celebrating my 25th anniversary as a librarian and my 5th anniversary as the Director of Technology for DoSpace. And as the description said, I pretty much have been using Google since day one. It has changed a bit in the 20 plus years that it's been around. I started using the web in '95 while I was in library school. And so what I'd just like to do today for the next 30 minutes is share with you kind of some of my tips and tricks for Google. Some of you may be aware of some of these things already. Some of you may not be aware of others. So if I hit something you already know about, just give me like 2 minutes and chances are I will move on to another topic that you may not be familiar with Google. My hope in this half an hour is to kind of cover basic Google search, video search, and image search. There are others, and I think that will be in our part 2 in a couple of weeks. We do have a chat room. If you have any questions, there's both a Q&A and a chat that you can use. If you do use the chat, the default is to send messages to all panelists. You can change that to panelists and participants if you would like everybody to see your question. The Q&A will just be seen by us. And I will do my best to monitor the chat, but Connor, one of our membership clerks from DoSpace, is also on the line with me, and he will be monitoring that. And so if you have a question, just send it through. If I don't see it quickly enough, Connor will alert me and share your question with us.
Hello.
So thanks, Connor. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to start with the basic Google search screen. So here we are over on my screen. You should be seeing, which is at google.com. And I'm going to guess most of you have been to this page before. There is not a lot to it. I remember when Google came out, it was very simple and everybody was freaking out. They're like, how can this work with just one little box and a couple of buttons? They've changed those buttons over the years, but added some other features. But I just want to, again, just show you a quick little few things about this that you may not be aware of. One is the Google Doodle. Just so you can watch that. And in this case, it's just a little animation celebrating teachers and childcare workers. Sometimes you can click on it. It turns into a game or a little video, just a little bit of entertainment on the Google website. We then have the search box into which you can type your what it is you're looking for. And in this case, it's just by clicking in there, offering me a few suggestions. You'll also see over here to the right, this microphone. There is a search by voice feature. So if you are on a computer with a microphone, or if you're on your cell phone and you want to search by voice, you can do that. I'm not going to try that out today. I'm not sure how that using the mic for both search and this presentation is going to work out. Does offer me some search suggestions, and as you start using Google more and more, it will start customizing those suggestions for you. I am using the Edge browser right now, which is not my typical browser. I typically use Chrome. But what I wanted to do was have a completely clean interface, no search history, no personalizations going on, so that we can do that. So these are just some default search options that are showing up for me. So what I'm going to kind of do for some of my searches is I'm a big fan of Dean Koontz, the author. And so let's just say I'm looking for some information on Dean Koontz. Now I'm going to type a little slowly here because as you will see, what will also happen is it will start suggesting searches for you as you type, and you'll notice those will change. And hey, look at that. I even got to DEA, and Dean Koontz is a suggestion. Deadpool is also a suggestion. Dear Evan Hansen, I have no idea where that is. So I'm going to keep typing, though. But if I wanted to, I could just go ahead and click on this Dean Koontz here and automatically perform this search. But I don't want to quite perform that search yet, so I'm going to continue typing. And I have learned over the years that I don't type and talk at the same time very well. I'm also going to then go ahead and just click off to the side here to make those suggestions go away. And then I have 2 buttons available to me. One button is Google search. This is what will happen if I had just typed and pressed enter or had chosen one of those suggestions. And that will get me to my list of results. But then we have this other button here called I'm feeling lucky. What I'm feeling lucky is going to do is it's going to skip the search results and it's going to take you directly to whatever the first result it found is. In this case, I have learned in live demoing over the years to really never quite click on that unless I'm absolutely 100% sure what results I'm going to get. I am not in this case, so I am not going to click on I'm feeling lucky, but you can do that and kind of skip a step. So I'll go ahead and click on Google search, and it's going to bring me up my search results screen. Now, I kind of want to touch base on some of the things that are here because Google doesn't just necessarily search the web and give you a list of results that it thinks are relevant to your search terms. It will also give you some additional information that you can use depending on the search that you did. For example, if we just look down this list here, we have these are my search results. It said it returned about 8.28 million results in 0.7 of a second, so pretty darn quick. Its first result is Dean Koontz's website. That makes total sense to me, and that is the site I would have gone to had I clicked I'm feeling lucky. We then get his Wikipedia entry with some additional information from that. We get a CNN news site because of his book, Eyes of Darkness, that's been in the news a bit lately. We get his Twitter feed and some Twitter actual results. Then we get Amazon and Snopes and Facebook and Fantastic Fiction and The Guardian. So, all really good results for who I'm looking for. And especially if I'm not familiar with him all that much, I would probably want to go to his website. Because he is an author, we also get what's called an info card over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And so in this case, it's a Dean Koontz, American author, links to his website. We get a little bio from Wikipedia, born and death if appropriate, some quotes from him, books, social media profiles, and people also searched for. These info cards will appear on authors, musicians, animals in some cases. In a lot of cases, what they're trying to do is just maybe present an answer for you. So for example, if I'm looking for his birth date, I searched on Dean Koontz, I probably would have added the word birth date, but let's say I didn't. It's saying, well, hey, you know what? I know who this guy is. I'm going to present you with a bunch of basic information about him right here on the right. So in this case, I don't even necessarily need to go to Wikipedia or I don't need to go to the Dean Koontz website. I can just get that answer I needed right here. So I did a basic search. And maybe I'd like to kind of maybe refine what I'm looking for here because this is giving me some pretty general information. Now, what I can do, and I'm going to touch upon some of these other ones here, is right now you'll see that I'm getting all results, but maybe I want just news results or book results or image results or shopping results, which, maybe I want to buy one of his books. And I can just click on any one of these. You'll also see under more, there are some other options. Flights and finance, probably not necessarily relevant. Video could definitely be relevant. And maps. So we do have a question. Does Google generate the info card? Where does the info card come from? So yeah, Google is generating that on its end and providing that back to us. And in most cases, it's kind of citing its sources. So you can see here that the basic information about him is from Wikipedia. Books, if I was to click through those, it would pull up a search result for those particular books. So it is in some cases kind of doing a sub search and providing that information, say in the case of the books in this case, or it's actually pulling information from another website such as Wikipedia. And it will generally provide you with a source link if it is pulling it from another site. We then also have up here settings and tools. Settings, I'm really not going to get into, but you can take a look at it. This allows you to kind of customize how Google works for you. And maybe kind of at the end of my 30 minutes here, I'll swing back to that. What I really like to show you is tools. And if I click on tools, I'm going to get a couple of additional options showing up here at the top. And depending on which kind of search results you've got, you will get different tools. So when I get over to images and when I get to videos, you will see that these tools will change. So in this case, I have anytime and any results. Well, if I click on those, I can now say, well, you know what? I only want results from websites in the past 24 hours. So in other words, hey, what's going on with Dean in the last 24 hours? What's kind of really the latest and greatest? So I'm going to go ahead and click on that past 24 hours, and you will see that my results have completely changed. That info card is gone. I do have some videos here on, you'll see they're all YouTube and Facebook from how long ago they are. And then you'll see a lot of other websites. Now, in this case, because I'm looking for things that are super recent in the last 24 hours, I'm not going to get Dean's website or his social media necessarily. I'm going to get probably more like news articles and updates from other websites. And you will see that these really are different sorts of results than I had on that previous page. And you will also see that each one is going to highlight about how long ago that information came out. I'm going to go ahead and go back up to the top here. I'm going to clear that field so that now I'm back to my default. And if I go back to tools again, I now have these all results and verbatim. This verbatim one, I've had kind of weird results with when I've played with it recently. All results has to do with, okay, it's searched on Dean Koontz, okay, but technically what it did was it's a little fuzzy. So if it might find something where Koontz was spelled wrong because somebody typed it wrong, or if I spelled it wrong. What verbatim is going to do is it's going to say, no, search exactly what I searched for. Don't give me anything that's similar. Don't give me anything that you think I might be relevant, but only search for exactly what I typed. And in this case, to be honest, I'm not going to get any better results. But if you like to type your searches in full sentences and trying to get Google to kind of interpret what it's asking about, you can do that. All right, so wow, my 30 minutes is going to go by very quickly. We're already at 12. So let me show you the next thing we're going to do here. I did what's called a simple search. But what I can do is I have bookmarked what's called the advanced search. There used to be a link to this on the Google homepage. It's not anymore, but all you can do is you can Google advanced search, and you will find it, and it's at google.com/advanced_search. And what you will see here is now if you want to do a much more complicated search. For example, if you want to search all of the words, which is the default. So I wanted to search Dean and Koontz. I wanted to search both of those words. Or I could search a particular phrase, meaning those two words must be next to each other. Any of the words means, let's say if I typed in Dean Koontz, it could be any site that has the word Dean and any site that has the word Koontz, and they could have absolutely nothing to do with each other. There are other people named Koontz floating around out there. What you can also do is none of these words, and I find this one a little more interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Dean Koontz again. Here is my search. And then lately, his book, The Eyes of Darkness, has been part of this conspiracy theory over the coronavirus. Not relevant, but let's say I want to get Dean Koontz results, but I don't want to hear about that at all. So what I can type here is Eyes of Darkness. Oops, type. And if I was to do my search now, what it's going to do is, hey, find me Dean Koontz, but eliminate any results that mention Eyes of Darkness. Okay. You can put in numbers ranging. In this case, if you wanted to put in a year, they have units of measure examples over here on the right. And then once it's gotten those results, you can limit them by a whole bunch of other things. The last update was that anytime drop-down list that we looked at a few minutes ago. I can limit to a language. I can limit to a region. So, hey, you know, who's talking about Dean in American Samoa? You know, maybe you want to know that. When it was last updated, I could say, I only want results from educational sites. So I could put in .edu here. Or .gov, probably not necessarily relevant in this case. I can say I want the terms that I searched for to be in the title of the page, in the text, in the URL, or links to it. So I can narrow that down even further. Safe search is the ability to limit your results to whether or not you would like content that is basically safe for anyone to look at, or it to possibly include some material you wouldn't want your kids looking at. Brian, I do see your question. I'll get to it in just a sec. File type, you can say, hey, I only really want to get PDF documents, or I'm looking for Excel spreadsheets in a particular case. And then usage rights has to do with if you're planning on reusing the content. This is going to look at what's called a Creative Commons license that might be put onto a particular piece of content on the web. Creative Commons licensing would be a whole separate presentation, which maybe I'll do in the future, but I'm going to kind of leave that here for right now. So Brian's asking, how do you do a true Boolean search? Yeah, when I was in library school, I took a class on how to do what's called Boolean searching, which is this and this, not that. You could use parentheses. You really build your search. You can actually do that in Google. I gotta admit though, I've forgotten most of it. All of these fields here that you can use, there is a way to kind of put that as a command into a Boolean search. And kind of in the interest of time, I'm not going to be able to cover that. The one thing I will mention though is you can also use you can use quotation marks to force words to be treated as a phrase, which is to put them next to each other in that particular order. And that would be the same as using exact word or phrase. So yeah, Boolean is still supported, but honestly, you don't necessarily need it all that much anymore. And yeah, Timothy, maybe another webinar. Yeah, I'd have to brush up a lot, I would think, but yeah, that it would be a whole webinar in and of itself. All right, so let me, we're a little past the halfway point. Let me talk about the Google image search. And so I've gone to images.google.com, and you will see here I have the same kind of basic search, no buttons in this case, and a couple of extra icons. So let's say I'm looking for pictures of something. So in this case, I'm gonna totally change up my search here. Civil rights movement. I like that. Okay. And then I have a couple of extra options here. I do still have my search by voice, so I could type that in, or excuse me, I could speak my search. I also have search by image. And I'm going to come back to that one in just a second. So right now I'm just going to click on the search button, and I'm going to look for images of from the civil rights movement. So you will see here my results are very different. They're all images instead of text. We have some additional suggestions up at the top, and then we have the particular images results that we've got here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick this first one. And you'll see what happens here is it kind of pulls up this sidebar where this is the image, this is the website it's from, gives you the ability to share it, gives you this kind of get help and send feedback option, gives you the title of the image or the page that it's coming from. It does warn you that there are copyright on images, so you're not necessarily free to just use this for anything you want. But again, that would be like a whole webinar in and of itself. And then we have related images as we scroll down here. And I can kind of click through each one of these, and you will see that my sidebar will change, and it will show you all of that same information from each one of those. So one thing I'm going to do real quick here to kind of back up and show you something else is I'm going to go ahead and pick this image here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a quick save of this image to my desktop, which you won't be able to see. It's kind of hiding behind things. And actually, it's going to go into my downloads folder, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and back up a page. And let's say I found that image or, somewhere, but it really didn't tell me where that image came from. So I've got it on my computer. I now have this search by image icon, which if I click on, I can now either paste in the image URL or I can upload an image from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and upload an image from my computer. And I'm going to go to downloads and upload that image here real quick. And then what it does is it's now done a Google image search based on that image. So I can now find other sizes of it. It actually is now giving me one of those info cards about that particular image itself. And it's giving me related images and other pages on the web that have used that image. So if you've got a picture and you're like, you know, I'm trying to find a picture similar to this, or I'm trying to find the source of this image, you can get that image, upload it to Google Image Search, and get these results. All right. And in fact, what it did was, here's the image I searched on, and then it kind of guessed as to what that image was about. And in this case, you know, highly accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of clear out that image search. And I'm just going to kind of go back to a basic image search here of Martin Luther King at the Selma March. And you will notice I have tools yet again. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on tools, and you'll see I now have more options available to me than I did when I did a basic search. One is size. So let's say I'm looking for, you know, just like an icon sized image that's relevant to this, as opposed to a nice big image. So here are icon sized images related to this. Go ahead and go back to any size, bring up my tools again. Color. So this color one is a fun one. In fact, I'm going to do a new search here because this actually happened to me recently. I was in a Facebook group for people who read horror novels. And somebody was like, I'm looking for horror novels that have pink covers. I'm not making this up. This was a real question. I don't know why they wanted it. They just did. So what I did was I said, hey, just do a Google image search, horror book covers, go up to tools, go to your color, and now you can kind of, you know, pick different choices. They're not perfect, but I'm going to go with this one, which is kind of pink-ish. And here we go, a whole bunch of pink horror book covers. All right. So, you know, you never know what people are going to ask or what you might be looking for, but for some reason, maybe an art project, this person needed pink covers. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Dean Koontz search here. And images, and it's still got that pink going on there. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back to any color. You'll also notice I could do black and white or transparent images. Usage rights, again, this is if you're planning on reusing an image in another way and you don't have permission of the person who created that image, chances are what you will probably want to do is change this usage rights to labeled for reuse. Or if you're non-commercial reuse, let's just say labeled for reuse. And these are images that have been specifically listed by people, usually from Flickr, that says, hey, you are allowed to use this. What I would highly recommend, though, is going to that page itself and looking at the permissions that the author has given you. At a minimum, you always want to give people credit. So make sure you do that. I'm going to go ahead and turn that filter off, go back to my tools. Type, so I can do any type. I can do clip art, I can do line drawing, or I can do a GIF. So if I'm wondering, you know, I'm looking for some Dean Koontz clip art, not really sure that's going to be a good idea. So let's do this. Let's change this to Office. Yeah, just Office. And then, so you're seeing I'm getting a lot of photos here. And in this case, I'm also getting some office furniture to be sold to me. That's nice. But if I'd rent clip art, I can just go ahead and do that. And then there we are. We got a whole bunch of office related clip art that's available to us. Clear that out. Go back to my tools. Type. Already just did that, sorry. And then time. This is the same as time before, where, you know, how recent is that image? So if you're looking for something that's maybe brand new, somebody's not used before, or a piece of clip art that's just you've seen everywhere, so you want something that's been created a little more recently. And then I've got about 5 minutes left here. I have also bookmarked, I mentioned there was a Google advanced search for basic searching. There is also an advanced search for images. A lot of this is going to be similar, and a lot of this is going to be based off of those filters. So you can do a simple search and then apply your filters, or you can do a complicated search here and build those choices into your search in the first place. So if you're kind of the person who's planning ahead, you really like to narrow it down. You do also get some additional features here that are not part of those tools, such as region and then the site or domain and the safe search. Especially if you're doing image searching, you probably want to leave that safe search on because, you know, there's content on the web that we probably don't want to be showing other folks. Okay. Quick mention, I'm going to go back to search here to the beginning, and I'm going to search one more time for Dean Koontz. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I want videos in this case. So you can do a video search, and this is what a video search result is going to look like. It's going to tell you where that's from with a link to it, the URL. It's going to give you a brief description. It's going to tell you how long that video is. In this case, 2 minutes, 15 seconds, 42 seconds, 39 seconds, etc. Clicking on any of these will actually take you to the page where the video is. And then again, we have tools. And again, the tools are just a little different and related to videos in this case. Duration. So how long of a video are you looking for? Well, let's say, you know what, I want an interview with Dean Koontz. It's probably going to be more than 20 minutes long. I want some nice thick content. So here we go. We just changed that to longer than 20 minutes. And we've got one that's an hour 9, 38, an hour 1, 59 minutes. So again, if you're looking for short clips, if you're looking for longer content. Any time will allow us to pick that time frame for those results. So in this case, I'm looking for stuff, you know, in the past month. So I want recent video content involving Dean. Quality, any quality or high quality. So if you're looking for, you know, if you don't care about the quality, leave it at any. If you really want some like high definition content, you can try switching to high quality. Videos, do you want any video or videos that include closed captioning? Could be important for what you're looking for. Sources, so there are kind of a lot of different sources that it looks for. It looks on YouTube, it looks on Facebook, it looks on Voodoo. I don't even know what some of these other ones are. I'm going to be honest, what I think it's doing is it's populating this list based on the results. So it found at least one video from hankgarner.com. So it's thinking, hey, maybe you want to see what else Hank has to say about, about Mr. Koontz. And so you can fill those in with that. I'm going to go ahead and clear those out. And yeah, so that is a quick and dirty 28-minute long introduction to your basic Google search, advanced search, image advanced search, and those tools with those results that have I've pulled up for you. I do have just a couple minutes left, and I will say two things. One, I do believe we have at least one others of these scheduled, and there are some other types of searching you can do in Google, such as Google Scholar. There's a neat little thing called the Ngram Viewer, and there's a neat thing called Google Alerts, which I'm planning on covering in that video. And with a couple minutes we have left, were there any other questions that you would like me to try to address? James, thanks. Yeah, it was a very quick overview. You can really dig into this a lot, but I'm glad that you learned something. The advanced searching can be very helpful. It's always hard with these sorts of presentations to come up with the perfect search example. You know, in this case, hey, I use Dean Koontz. Some of you may not care about Dean Koontz at all. I'm just trying to like illustrate the tools. So play with it, get used to it, and watch your calendar, come back for the other one. Especially if you want to do a lot of searching and especially with the advanced searching, there's ways you can set it up so that it does the searching for you and you get alerted to new results. So yeah, Brian's mentioning safe search. Yes, very important. It is default to on. If you go into settings up here, which I didn't really talk about, you can default it to off if you want to, but by default it does leave on. And Brian's also comment, haven't been able to get Google to do true Boolean, even with quotation marks or advanced search. Yeah, I'm starting to think that they really just have given up on that. And that's probably why I haven't even bothered playing with it all that much. Sella asks, are there any studies showing the accuracy of Google A librarian friend of mine told me that only about 49% of the information on Google is accurate. Is that valid? Well, if you're talking the sites it's pointing you to, Google is making no claim to accuracy. All Google is doing is saying, hey, here's a site that has the content you're looking for. Whether or not that content is accurate, Google is making no judgment whatsoever. If you're talking about those information cards that show up on the right-hand side, I'm not aware of a high level of inaccuracy for that. Google, I think, prides itself on that content being accurate. And I think there is an actual way there. I clicked on one at one point that said send feedback. If you do find an inaccuracy in that, you can report that. But yeah, I mean, it's like just this list that I'm looking at right here is search results. Google is making no claims as to accuracy as to this content. It's just saying these are videos that mention Dean Koontz. That's it. Those info cards, though, I would say are, like I said, Google takes pride in them being accurate because they want them to be accurate, because if they weren't, people wouldn't use Google. So we are at our 30 minutes. I want to thank everybody for attending today and really appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback. And like I said, watch our calendar. There will be at least a part 2. And if it's popular enough, maybe even a part 3. So thanks for attending, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.